Hey, what's up everybody? Video 44 coming at you another video. All right, so I went to Hollywood, walked around the old neighborhood that I lived in, and just made that trip today. Decided not to do anything too serious. Didn't even stop at a Target. Wasn't nothing to buy. I got everything I need there. But I did want to have an excuse to make this walk back, which is something I want to get back in the rhythm of doing once again. I know that exercise is important, and walking is one of the best fat burners in the world. It's one of the best ways to lose weight. So that's what I want to do. I want to just lose some weight. I was thinking about, as I was telling you guys last night, throwing things away. I mean, that includes maybe about 8 unhealthy pounds. I don't need to lose too much weight, but like maybe about 8 pounds. And I don't want to have to adjust my portions. That's what I was thinking. Like, I like eating the way I'm eating. I think that when I was thin and I had my six-pack, I was eating too little. And I look at some of them pictures, yeah, my stomach looked great, but my body was skinny. Skinny in a way that I don't necessarily want for myself. So it's like, how can I get my stomach to look like that while keeping the rest of the weight? That's pretty much what it is. And I gotta burn more calories so that the food that I'm putting in can burn off. So that equals more exercise for me, which is more walking probably for the rest of the year if I can pull it off. So yeah, that's really what I'm thinking, man. Just try to make an excuse to get a good hour and a half of walking in as much as possible every other day or something like that. I was talking to my uncle yesterday. He was saying that they walk some, and then my uncle's wife walks like 7 miles a day or something like that. I don't think I'm gonna get up to that level. I don't have any aspirations of doing that much walking. That's time consuming, but what I can say is I do want to just get back to what I was doing, which was walking Lancashire back and forth just about every day back when the fare wasn't as expensive for me. But it is what it is. I do want to make an excuse to get out here as much as possible. So that's what today was about. It was about this, walking back. But yeah, man, I don't know, man. I just think at the end of the day, I find myself getting frustrated while walking past some people. I don't know these folks. Who knows, right? You don't know who you're walking past, but it's just the representative energy that I feel when I'm walking past certain strangers just in this environment where people don't really give a shit about genocide, where people don't seem to give a shit about babies dying. It's just, I don't know, man. It just makes you feel uncomfortable when you're in the presence of just about anybody, really. You know what I mean? Like, that's a God's honest truth, man. You just get to a point where sometimes, and it's been going on for 310 days or more. So it's not like this is a new thought or I'm just coming into this conclusion, but it's just like you walk past people in a place like Hollywood where you know a good portion of the nonsense is kind of perpetuated in that city. And even though I was home and I'm from it, walking over there just feels different when I'm walking past people. It's like, are you a part of this Zionist movement that wants to kill these kids and smile about it and call yourself a victim? Because if so, I don't want to acknowledge your existence. I'm not quick to say hi to strangers. You know what I mean? That's truly how I feel, man. It just makes you feel differently about the people that are around you, that you do not know, that you know maybe from that culture. You know, it's like, I'm not saying hi to you. I'm not looking at you like, I'm not acknowledging your existence. And that's not how you want to be in the presence of strangers. You can't judge a book by its cover. You don't know who supports what and who doesn't. But I'm saying in a space like Hollywood, specifically Hollywood, where you know that city's run by the Zionists, it's like, bro, every other person around me, I'd imagine, could give a damn about some of the images that I've been sickened by. And they support that, and they want me to support that, and I just have a different view on them. On you all, if that's who you are. I don't particularly appreciate your presence around me anymore. And that's where I've gotten to, man. That's what this has done. That's the evil of the circumstance. It makes you even less personable. I'm already somebody who's not very social, so to say. I'm kind and I'm nice, but I'm not somebody that really likes to talk too much or be in the presence of too many strangers, just associating. Like, that's not my personality necessarily. And I got a buddy that hits me up very often. He's a very consistent person. And I find myself getting irritated. You know, I don't want to talk every day. And he's not one of my day one buddies. So it's like, You know, you get irritable. And that's the kind of personality I think I have ultimately. Kind of get irritable with certain things, certain energies. It's like, yo, I'm not trying to be consistent. I'll holler at you when the Lakers come back around. Like, that's really how I feel sometimes. For better or for worse. But anyway, it's one of those situations where that's kind of how I felt walking around the streets out there. It's just like, yo, what is this place really supposed to represent? When I grew up, I thought it was just Hollywood, entertainment, superstardom, and aspirations of wanting to be who they are. But when you look at what this led up to, what's behind them, the dystopian nightmare that is the times we're living in, and what part Hollywood and the overall culture of needing attention has ultimately been for this movement, it's everything that's wrong with this movement. People who have the voices to say something to many people being compromised to a point where they won't open their mouths about something that is so devastating when you pay attention to it. They will look away and pretend like they don't know that this is happening, or go to a place like Israel and pretend they don't know people being treated horribly on the other side of the wall. It's like, yo, man, I feel like I'm in the times of the slavery days. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm in the times of when this thing was founded, where everybody turned a blind eye to the sufferings of the Native Americans because it was culture and that's just what people did. I don't find myself okay with that. I'm offended by that. I understand that people think it works if they can just get away with it. But I just hate it. I hate suffering. I appreciate pain, what it means to be in pain, what it means to be outcasted for your color or your differences, what it means to be looked down upon. I have a healthy despise for that. For not only as it pointed at myself, but as it's pointed at anybody else. I'm offended by that. You understand what I'm saying? So if that's what it was required for us to be peaceful or to get along, is people turning a blind eye to the suffering of children and the crying out against, apartheid and genocide, I don't care to be peaceful with you. I don't care to be your friend. I don't care to be fine with, I don't care to be a part of what you got going on. You understand what I'm saying? That's how I feel about that. This is what's required. Count me out. I don't want to play the game. I was listening to an excerpt from AOC. She was essentially asked the question about whether or not, it bothered her that people thought she didn't know how to play the game. And she said she liked that because she can catch people off guard thinking that she don't know how to play the game. This ain't a freaking game. You're a part of a culture and a society where people pretend to care while deliberately empowering those who are hurting people. That's not a game. That's not even something you should be aspiring to be a part of. Do you understand what I'm saying? But the notion of power and fitting in and being important, people really think that is like the most important thing in the world, is to feel important and be important in the presence of people who don't care about people. That's not who you need to be reigning over as it pertains to your power. That is not real power. When the people themselves could care less about people, who you are as a leader of those people is not really powerful. That's not real power. The powerful are the ones who can change the minds of those people, who can speak on doing things the right way and then following through with that walk, not pretending to care and not saying they want peace and then empowering those who are keeping the war going. I don't know who raised you, but they raised you wrong, is what I would tell AOC. You weren't raised right, young lady. Because if you were raised right, you would know to stand against that nonsense, not play along with it. That's going to leave you in disgrace in the long run. That's going to leave people who thought they could trust you when you spoke as if you were willing to walk that walk. It's going to make them tell the story about you having not been willing to walk that walk because you were too busy trying to capitulate to what was already in place. You contributed to the futility of trying against things that are not right. You made it harder for those who were willing to change because you were one more cog in the machine against change. And what made it even worse is that you talked a good game as if you were really someone who cared about change when you didn't care about change. You wanted to fit in with those who didn't want to see change. You wanted to be accepted and within a position to rise to the top of the pyramid of those who didn't give a damn about change. Not as it pertains to ending what otherwise makes it so that we're making people suffer in order for us to keep going. Somebody convinced you and everybody who moves like you that it was no use in changing. It's about if you can't beat them, you join them. When that was a misguided intention, because all you're doing is making the machine that needs to be dismantled stronger by thinking it makes no sense to even try against it. One person tried, two people tried, three people tried, and eventually you have enough to destroy that thing. But as long as people are moving like you're moving, making it stronger, it cannot be fixed. It cannot be dismantled and rebuilt in a way that doesn't allow for suffering around itself in order for it to stand strong. You are part of the problem. And in my opinion, if you were raised correctly, you would never adhere to what makes that thing stronger. You would never think that you were going to make any change by playing the game along with it. You had the power to be a part of the change that can make that difference. And you chose differently. And it spoke to your character. Anything that comes out of your mouth against that speaks to your misguidedness, if that's a way of putting it. You were misguided. Just like every other person who behaves like you aspires in the pyramid that you do. All of you. Raised wrong. That's a God's honest truth. Continue to build upon white supremacy and capitalism as it pertains to how we move. When we know we're standing on the backs of Congolese children. We know that the people who are behind you want to destroy Palestinian children. You know that this is happening. You know it should stop. But you're empowering it, and that disgraces you. And that is the God's honest truth. I don't give a damn how many people agree with you when they say that it's no use in making change. All they're doing is contributing to the same process that could otherwise change it, but instead are going against what would otherwise make it any better. You're reinforcing the same thing. And wouldn't you know it? Just as I said, it's a process. It takes many people coming together to agree upon that nonsense in order for it to exist. Just like it's going to take many people coming together against it to tear it down and rebuild it the right way. Should you not contribute to being what changes it for the better? So that people who are your skin color, who are in your situation, but otherwise aren't given the privileges you are, AOC, directly to you as a woman of color, who are in your spaces, should they not have the hope that someday people that look like them don't have to suffer what they go through? If not for just another one of you continuing to push against that change? You got many people fooled in 2024. And that is what it is all about. Having people believe that things are not what they are and that they should continue to keep them as they are because it's working for them. It ain't working for them. People are working themselves to death. You got people who've fought in these wars that we continue to send our people to, not being able to live decent lives after they get out of the wars, all messed up, living on the street. You got billionaires getting richer, Poor people working harder for less pay, doing 4 and 5 jobs, guilt trip to the max about needing to have a job while being pushed propaganda that pushes classism upon their heads, having them inspire for things that they cannot get, reaching for things that are not obtainable, looking down on people who have even less of an opportunity to get those things than they do. This is the essence of what keeps this thing going, and you're part of the agreement to make it happen in that fashion. That's wrong. You were raised wrong. Those who were raising you failed you because they should not have allowed you to go down that path without plenty resistance. Moving along with the status quo when you know damn well the status quo is intentional on making people suffer. Its own people and others. That is wrong. You got to come together to be somebody that starts the process of people agreeing to make the change, not going along with the situation, but against the grain, so that change can be possible with your intentions. Play the damn game. That game is no good. That game is rigged for people to lose. The people you're adhering to are part of the problem. It's spiritually bankrupt. They're utterly useless to those who are suffering the worst because of it. This is why I speak directly to her, because she's one of the ones that talk a good game. She's one of the ones that convinced a lot of real people that she was a real person. And somewhere along the way, she fell in line with the rest of them. She allowed the world to corrupt her into being more of the problem than the solution. And there's no bigger disappointment than somebody that you thought got it. But she didn't get it. She just understood how to play the game. That's it. I'm tired of these games being played around me and above my head by people who call themselves politicians. You're actors, and not very good ones. You mean no good to nobody, just yourselves. You take money from anybody that lobby toward you. If I could put enough money together to buy you, you'd say whatever I tell you to say. You'd agree with whatever the hell I tell you to agree with. If I had enough people behind me pushing me to push you, we would have it all done. Whatever the hell I wanted to do. Paint the sky pink if I really wanted to, based on y'all willingness to do whatever the hell someone would pay you to do. If it happens to be killing babies, hey, we're killing babies. If it happens to be, making everybody believe that they should be something that they're not, we're all going to be pretending. You're going to push whatever propaganda pays you. That's what's wrong with the political system of this country. You sway with the damn wind. If the Jews decide they want to kill black people, suddenly all of us going to be wiped out. They'll be killing our kids left and right in front of our faces, pulling us out from under rubble. There's no real backbone to that bull. There's no backbone to that. That's what we've come to understand. That's what you've taught us over the last 300 days. It ain't got no backbone. Y'all just got a handout. And you'll take whatever dollar comes from whatever demon to do whatever bad deed. And I'm sick of you. I'm sick of a whole lot of you. I think every politician that I've ever heard of has been contributing to this that I've just described. And they are all guilty of it. Together. All of you. Even the good ones. Because you come together to aspire to be at the top of this pyramid that we're talking about. It is garbage. You don't really want to rule. You just want to be able to catch funds from those who are really paying into the system of ruling. And you're afraid. You're afraid to stand on something. You're afraid to die for something real. That's the problem with you politicians. If I'm being completely honest with you. Y'all afraid to die for something real. You really want to get to the crux of what it's about. It's about y'all being willing to live for the wrong things and willing to die for nothing. Where are the politicians that don't mind being assassinated for the betterment of mankind? Do any of you assholes exist? Anywhere? Y'all sell your last name, your first name, your firstborn down the river to be a part of this crap. But how many of y'all actually got the strength of the Martin Luther King and Malcolm X who were willing to catch a bullet for the betterment of human life? Do anybody like that exist? Or is it just about, hey man, we got to adhere to the iPad because they're going to expose my nasty, sexy stuff? And that's what I really sense is going on here. A lot of y'all just bad guys, for lack of a more colorful way of putting it. And these are the people that know what you've done. So you dare not do anything that would otherwise give them the reason to expose your darkness to the rest of us. That's what I think is going on with probably 70% of y'all. They're just no good. Y'all no good in y'all personal lives. And the Z's got an understanding of that and can expose it to all of us at any moment and put you away for it. And you're afraid of that. And that's why they got y'all by the balls. That's what I really think. A bunch of you clapping for that baby killing nightmare that is Milwaukee or whatever the hell his real name is. From Philadelphia. Because that's exactly where he's from. By way of Poland. That boy is from Philly. Just like Will Smith. Just like Meek Mill. That's who Milwaukee. He's from Philly, yo. Indigenous to what? He's indigenous to the green money that he pays everybody. That's all, bro. That's it. He's indigenous to the leverage he has over our American government. That's what he's indigenous to. Sure as hell ain't that land in the Middle East. Absolutely not. That dude is from Philly. So that's what I'm telling y'all, man. I'm tired of these politicians in cahoots with one another, adhering to nonsense. If it wasn't about the slaughtering of children, I wouldn't care as much, to be honest with you. I'm just going to be honest with you. In this capitalistic society where maybe 3 companies own everything, if it weren't about suffering the ills of one's own sick, demented religious extremism, I would probably be like, hey man, you rose to the top of this capitalistic thing, you want to control everything. People are dumb enough to let you control it, let them do it. But that you want to kill children, if that's what your interest is, yeah, I got a problem with that. Yeah, I've got a big problem with that. I'm not seeing kids with their heads off while you're screaming that their fathers and mothers are trying to take your kids' heads off, for which we have no evidence of. No evidence of this. Doing to them what you say you're afraid of them doing to you, and justifying it, even though there's the very essence of that action makes you that for which you fear. But nobody's going to point out the hypocrisy. Not anybody that is in a position to hold any weight anyway, right? None of these politicians are going to point out saying, yo, I mean, you're afraid of people cutting people's heads off, so you cut people's heads off? Nobody in that room that's clapping for this Milwaukee Philly guy is ever going to say that. That hypocrisy deteriorates at the credibility of them and anything that they do if they continue to uphold it. Because obviously that holds less weight than whatever coming out that they want kept hidden. Let's just be honest. They don't want you to know that they're all compromised. They all been to a Epstein Island or had some stake in something they had no business owning, or did something in college that would put them away for life, or whatever they're guilty of, that ultimately makes it so that they'll stand in hypocrisy and pretend. Stand in the presence of people doing horrible things to children and smile like it's not happening. Whatever skull and bones agreement that they've come to, whatever Illuminati-like agreement they've all come together to engage in, put them in a position to be this compromised and this tainted. And I'm supposed to sit back and say, well, I mean, it's fine because I can get $1 million if I just keep on playing the game. Maybe I can be a politician and align with this nonsense too. Hell, I could probably be a rich person if I just take AIPAC money and say what they want me to say. Yeah, man, it's October 7th, the worst thing in the world. They had a right to defend themselves. Defend themselves is whatever they define it to be. And you're anti-Semitic if you go against it. Period. Excluding nothing they decide. Yeah, I can say that shit too. Anybody can come out of their mouth and say that garbage. It doesn't make it any less of a lie. It's not true. No, that shit is garbage. And I'm using my voice, and the people that listen to me, I'm going to make sure that they know my point of view on this. They're going to know not only that I have a point of view, but that I've been paying close enough attention to have one. And they should too. If you're a psychotic nightmare of a human being, then align with them. Because that's what they're on. If you identify with something like a Jeffrey Dahmer or the character that is, Freddy Krueger, yeah, they align with the Zionists. That's what they own. Literally that. And you're proud of the notion that Hitler had something going when he was trying to wipe everybody out, sending people into furnaces. If that's what you're really about, Zionist is your side, man. That's your party. Get with that. If that's what you're about. If that's not what you're about, then you probably shouldn't be aligning with that crap. Probably. That's the truth, man. And until everybody has that in their minds, normalized in their mind from person to person to person all over the Western world, we got work to do. Because that's the conversation that needs to be had in every household, at every table. If you're fine with the terrorizing of children, then you should be rolling with Israel and AIPAC and the Zionists. Be fine with everything they're doing. They are psychotic in nature and aggressive in nature and are lying about it to themselves and to everybody who will listen. If you're fine with that, be over there with them. Align against the Palestinian resistance. Align against people who are saying free Palestine. That's what side you're on. +300 days of watching this has made me very certain of this. Very certain of this. And as many children as I've seen dead in my phone, as many people as I've seen crying over dead children in my phone, many men and women crying over their loved ones who are no longer with us, who died in violent ways, who had no history of being anything less than regular, solid human beings, died innocent, labeled terrorists. You think I'm afraid to tell all who will listen to me that this is what's going on? You don't know who I am if that's what you think. I wasn't raised that way. I wasn't raised to look away from that and be okay with it as I see it. I wasn't raised for that. I was raised to tell the truth about things like that. No matter what were to happen to me, no matter who had something to say about it, no matter what the energy was surrounding the circumstance. At some point in time, we got to be honest. We can't wait for those who are compromised and those who are playing the political game and those who are suffering, who have no way of communicating with us by way of the national media that doesn't serve them at all. We cannot wait for them to normalize the resistance to their suffering. We got to wake up to it by listening to people like myself and paying attention to the things that I've been paying attention to. That is what is needed. We got to get to a point where we're not waiting for other people to tell us it's okay to stop killing children. Don't wait for it to be cool to say that. Don't wait for your rapper, your favorite athlete, or your favorite musician, or your favorite TV personality to tell you that, man. Your favorite blogger. Do not wait for that. It'll be too late. Do not wait for your politicians to say, well, we've reached a ceasefire, for you to put pressure on them and guilt trip them with whatever leverage you have to having a decency about their movement in this game that they're playing. to say we won't take every dollar. We don't adhere to the notion that power should be a willingness. Adhering to power means a willingness to terror. It does not. I can respect that you've won the game of capitalism without allowing you to be an abuser. Do you understand what I'm saying? Those two things do not have to align. Just because you control every damn thing, all the banking and all the money and all that, does not mean you get to decide who lives and who dies. Least of all the innocent. Until we get some people in place who know how to incorporate that into their political game, I don't have nothing to do with you. Democrat or Republican. I don't have anything to do with you. As long as you're willing to sell us down the river and sell these Palestinian children's lives down the river for a few pennies, you are not worth me investing my vote into. So that you can rise to the top of whatever stupid game that you're playing with talking points and all different types of propaganda. It wouldn't work on anybody who has any damn sense, to be honest with you. No disrespect to people who still believe in that bull crap, but you're not the smartest of us all if you're still buying the joy talking point. Joy. Ceasefire. We're trying. All that bad acting. You guys are terrible actors, by the way. I want to put that out there. You're not even really that great at it. Older politicians from when I was a child were much more convincing. You guys suck at this. That's part of the issue as well. And let me tell you something, man. It doesn't matter which party. Donald Trump has already made it clear that he would not do anything different. He would send all the money over to Israel. He would bomb those kids and be cool with it, man. He is Islamophobic as they come. So I'm not rolling with him on no level. No level. The Democrats in place have already proven themselves to be killers of Islam, killers of children, killers of Christians for that matter. This isn't just about Islam. They're killing Christianity. They're killing Christian people over there. I know a lot of y'all don't know that there are Christian people over there, but there are plenty of Christian people there that they have slaughtered because they're Christian. And they're beating up Christian priests in Israel because they're Christian. While you want to be one of those Christian Zionists that roll with Israel, they're beating the shit out of y'all over there. Yeah, you should know it. You should know that. So, all right. And that's the problem. See, it's the perception of the circumstance that isn't being painted out well enough for people who would otherwise care to do so. They've painted such a horrible picture of what a person in a hijab actually is about and what they're supposed to be, what their image is supposed to represent, that we just automatically think it's fine that they suffer. It's ridiculous. We're evil for even entertaining that nonsense. America, for even letting somebody get that far into our minds to believe that bullcrap. There's something wrong with us before they even open their mouths that we would be receiving of that. It's the same way I feel about y'all looking at us that way. How would you let anybody even convince you something like that? That it's okay to kill them off because you don't agree with their religion? Because somebody who looks like you told you that they wanted to bomb something? Why should all of them suffer even if that were true? They're just beyond any chance of reasoning, all of them. That you convince yourself of that speaks to how demented we are before anyone even puts any propaganda on us. How compromisable we would be before the compromising would even begin. That we would be able to receive that as a nation. But we don't look at ourselves that way, America. So by way of the image of Jeffrey Dahmer, I'm supposed to look at every white person like they're going to eat me? By that logic? Think about it. If you don't apply that to all of your own, why would you receive that about all of someone else? You got people in your life you don't even trust. I've never met a person who doesn't talk about being betrayed to some degree, or having some apprehension about people around them, or seeing the shady nature and the shaky nature of the people around them that look like them. But then you're going to believe that all of anybody is anything? Make it make sense. That you would even be convinced of that speaks to something wrong with us. The inability to critical think. It's disgraceful, man. That's why I don't feel comfortable walking around a lot of people these days, because I think they engage in that type of disgrace without any consideration for whether or not it would make any sense whatsoever, man. It's nuts.